Hello guys, this is IntoCryptoSpace, and we're going to be talking about Crow with Knife with special guest, Johyo. Kaka! Johyo, welcome to the channel. Do you have anything you would like to say to the community right off the bat?
No, I think we can just get into some of your questions, and
Awesome.
I'm excited to be able to clear some things up for you or other the community members.
Awesome, love to hear it. Johyo, going right to action like you normally does. All right, so question one. So for you as an individual, when did your crypto journey begin? And when did you enter the Kronos ecosystem more specifically?
Sure. So I really started with Bitcoin early on. So back when Bitcoin was launched, you could with proof of work, you could join pooled mining. So, when I was in college and, just had a gaming computer for playing various video games, and it wasn't as complex as it is now, right? So, like, I was actually mining Bitcoin early on, back when that was still not just these really specified servers. So, unfortunately, I probably have Bitcoin lost just like everybody else that was here at the beginning of Bitcoin that I don't even know about. Um, as far as Kronos, at the end of the last bull run, I looked into getting a Crypto.com Jade Visa card. I think Crow was around 40 cents at the time. It was coming back down from its high at $1. That's when I really got into Kronos.
Oh, that's awesome. You were there right at the brink. And as everybody says with Kronos, Kronos kind of popped in, was released, unfortunately, at the end of the bull cycle and commenced with its bear cycle. And then from then on, for the next 2 to 3 years, you were an avid Kronos ecosystem holder. So that's
Yeah, my DeFi wallet, I forget exact date. I could look up when it was started, but I really got into DeFi, just hearing that old montage, not your keys, not your crypto. I was really upset at the time about what happened with GameStop and Robinhood, and I know that that's not direct crypto, but really what got me into wanting to invest more time and effort and financially for me was that idea that Wall Street and the banks could stop allowing sell orders on GameStop. It was really frustrating. So I think crypto has that appeal of being decentralized, and I think we all start out in an app or on an exchange. I don't think anybody, unless if they get onboarded by somebody else in the space, I don't think anybody just dives right into DeFi. But, I had that background of even mining my own Bitcoin. So I was familiar at the time. A lot of people don't know now because we're used to like liquidity pools and DeFi, but I was on Mount Gox originally, right? So like you had your wallet, you had your Bitcoin wallet, and if you wanted to sell it, you had to list it on an exchange. You couldn't just sell freely into a DeFi liquidity pool.
so different back then. How fast things have
Yeah,
changed.
yeah, exactly.
And on a side note, some would say fun fact, but for me, on a sad fact, quote unquote, likewise, I got in right after that whole debacle, and I end up losing in upwards of $60,000 on AMC call options, where the day before they halted trading and AMC tanked 70% on
Hmm.
that day, I had put up call contracts, 60 grand worth, saying that it was going to go up. So the next day, I'm literally looking at 60 grand total, and it was falling at such a rate where I personally didn't know who could, right? Who could know what was going to happen? And at which point I ended up selling my shares at a probably 10%. I sold the contracts at a 10% value of its original, and I think I got out at 5,000 lo and behold, days and weeks later, it recovered a little bit, and it was just so unfortunate. But true testament, I got into crypto after that because I was sick of, the man, like you said, and
Right.
just going back
Yeah.
to any aspect where the individual has a little bit more power, and that's what I craved, and that's how I got into DeFi. Correct? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that is a similar story for I think a lot of people. I mean, if it was crypto, right? Like we call a honeypot on like a token that you can buy and you can't sell. So I mean, in Robinhood, they're marketing. Think of
That's a
Robinhood,
good way
right?
to put it.
Stealing
I
from the
got
rich,
honeypotted
giving to the poor.
on a
And
on
I
an
mean,
exchange. You're
yeah,
right.
they weren't letting people sell listed during trading hours, right? And the stock's not even halted by the stock market, and they're just saying nope, you can't sell because basically we need this to recover. And I just don't want to have that lack of control. And Robinhood just came out with a really good credit card, and I just won't even get it because I won't do business with them.
Absolutely not support them. And in a way, it's actually a reverse honeypot where they allowed people to sell, creating downward momentum, but not allowing people to
Yeah,
buy. Just completely screwing anyone like me or you or any
right.
individual that really tried to stick it to the man. To the best of your capabilities, do you have any idea what really inspired Claw? Do you have any knowledge from the team? Maybe even about the original NFT. Anything you can share about the original NFT project or go into this project? Do you know why the meme was picked? Why the team was assembled the way it was, and the community? What do you know anything about how the community got so strong to what it is now today, a month and a half later, still so strong, so powerful? What do you have to say? What do you have to give us?
Yeah, so as people may or may not know, Crows was the first NFT on Chronos. So it was minted in block 946. So everybody in this community is really proud of that. That will never be taken away from us, regardless of what happens. And they had a feature that they developed for those Crocos called the Forest, and it was a staking mechanism. And I actually found out about this. I don't want to sound like I was early, right? Like I got in with the public
Mm-hmm.
after the pre-sale for Crow with Knife, so I didn't get like an airdrop. All my NFT collection is amassed after being on this wild ride the last few months. But they had the concept of the forest, and I think at one point, because before I was on the team, I was just diving down Medium articles, and there's a lot on our website of our Medium articles on the NFT. And they were using a concept called Twig, and I don't know if Twig was an actual token or what it was, but then at some point they realized that there was selling pressure of that. So staking your Crow for that, there was selling pressure. So they started with the NFT royalties. I think there's a 10% royalty. A lot of people know NFTs have royalties.
Mm-hmm.
They were giving half of that to the community as Crow. So if you staked your Crow, you would earn Crow. And they evolved the project just like everything else. So they had a really good community. So they had the Crows, then the Mad Crows, and they had Crow Nests. And they actually went back also, and Crow punks were not Crow CROW, but CRO punks were a punk brought over to Kronos at the beginning too, and that was kind of abandoned. So they did their own project where if you had a crow punk and you had two crows, you could breed them like on the contract, and you could get a crow CROW punk. But so they had this really big NFT community, and the way it was told to me, and it's actually pinned in our Discord, I'd have to go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
One Day Destruction just said Kronos needs some caw and some meme coins. And so I think he just got inspired to create a meme coin. I'd have to go back to it exactly. And he started just talking to the community, and it kind of built from there.
It's kind of crazy thinking about how everybody's kind of fixated on the fact, even at the worst of it, destruction was around for a month and a half, and he sold his bag at the crypto.com listing, where they don't care what milestones are reached, that nobody should be able to sell on their own bag, their own money funded their own wallet, nothing to do with anything else. And in all reality, he's been part of this image, this project, in one way or the other. I know he doesn't like to correlate the two and have them both as their own separate entity, but in a way, he's been fighting for this bag for the last 3 years since the Crow NFT, correct? Because he's been a part of that original project, right? It's crazy.
He's been here the whole time. I think that the communities, just like anything else, had more activity and then less activity with either launches or time in between. And I can't talk for him, but yeah, I mean, he's been here all along, so it has been a long history here.
100%. 100%. All right, so being that the number one thing behind any successful meme coin is its community, and knowing that we had that in Crow with Knife, like, was there any ever doubt, even prior, because you didn't join a team until a certain time period, even you as an individual investor, did you have any doubt, or was it just a matter of when, and you knew it was a matter of when? What were you feeling before the crypto.com listing?
So I'd say we all liked it, and wanted it, and liked the idea of thinking of it. And I think that there's always doubt. Lately we've seen a lot of coins almost saying that crypto.com owes them the listing. They're a business, and they don't owe anybody anything. And we can all get into speculation around the IMO coins and their involvement with those, and I think that's a whole separate video. I think that if I was to say there's doubt, there was a definite hesitation that it was not easy. Everybody sees that it was done, and now they think, they're in cahoots with crypto.com. We were only taken, and not everybody remembers, they weren't here. I mean, I was up those days. One day I spent up 24 hours just on Twitter Spaces with Howie and Banksy and some others, and Eugene from our community. And it was, like you said, it was such a good community vibe. And I think that the doubt was they didn't take us necessarily, they wanted us. They knew that Crow with Knife, they had to take us, and we were the only option. So we were doing at the time half of the Kronos volume. And I know lately we've been number 2 in volume a little bit. Sometimes we go to number 1. But I view that as really everybody has their bag. The people that are diamond hands are not selling. The day traders are kind of out because there's not the stuff. But when you go back to when we got listed because they almost had to take us, not because they wanted to. And so I would say if there was a doubt, it was more, we didn't know, even Destruction didn't know when the listing would happen. There were no discussions. There was no signing contracts, NDAs. There was nothing. All of a sudden, we were listed.
Yeah.
Bitmart and some of these others, obviously, we're in deals. We're doing the market maker, and we're working on many discussions now for our next listing. But I would say that there could be a doubt because we were wondering if the community backing us was going to be taken seriously.
That's a good way to put it. I remember, like, so in terms of, like you were saying, it's not that they wanted to, they kind of needed to, because VVS,
Correct.
like, you thinking about the VVS, does anyone remember here out of the audience listening, or Johyo? We were a month and a half straight number 1 on the VVS meme poll. Like, how long can you ignore us, right? So VVS, who you're in cahoots with, we're number one on their platform for a month and a half straight, right? We're more than half of the volume on the Chronos chain for a month and a half. Along with that, all of your ambassadors are talking about Kerwood Knife. Like, how long could they ignore us? They had to kind of at one point take us seriously, not on their behalf, but because they were kind of like they were kind of put
There
into a
was pent
corner.
up there was pent up demand,
100%.
right? And there was true desire for us, and I'm looking at some people now, and they're saying almost like crypto.com owes it, they need to save Kronos.
Nah, they don't owe
That's not really like a good position. They're a business, and if the demand's not there, the demand's not there. And they if I've been looking into a lot of exchanges because one of my roles on the team is primarily focused at business development, and we are trying to decide where our next exchange is, and we're trying to wait and get it right, because we don't want to have a sell the news event. Some other coins have us uplisted, and then it's not a guaranteed 2 to 3x. If everything was a guaranteed 2 to 3x, everybody would just pay up listings and it would be a free money printer, right? So we're waiting to get it right. But crypto.com, went in my research, they have very few coins listed, right? So you take some of these other bigger, not top five, not, I don't have the list right here. Maybe they're in the top 10, but you take like a MEXC, they have over 2,000 coins, right? You take there's lots of exchanges like that, and then some of them, KuCoin also will have very few coins. So crypto.com is starting to dabble in the meme space, but they traditionally do not list a lot of projects, and some of that is just their cautiousness around regulatory conditions.
Yeah, that's their policy. So, and when Crow with Knife set that standard at this point, and it's funny, out of all the FUD that we used to have, remember the discussions. It was like, oh, okay, Crow with. I remember there was like, all right, so that's not the destination. There were a lot of people were like, oh, there's a knife in the logo. They'll never list us. This. They'll never list us. This. Never list us. And it's funny, like you said, now that Crow with Knife is listed, now these other tokens are thinking, oh, because they owe it to us. They owe it to the community. Oh, they're not doing it. But like you said, it's a business. Does it make sense for them? Are they making money with that? With the trading volume? Is it all relevant? And again, we were on the top of the chain across the board. There was no other option. Some might say, even now, there is still no other option other than Crowwood Knife. I'll leave it at that, but that's well said.
Yeah, and one thing I will add, we had that high volume and that hype, and you mentioned VVS and all those competitions. We only started losing those because they didn't even put us in the vote,
I remember that. They stopped
right?
including us.
Yeah. So so one of the things about our community is just how hard we'll attack X, or we'll raid, or we'll attack votes. And like sometimes when we lose a vote, it's because we're not even looking at it or aware that there's a vote happening in a random place, or it's just not important to us. But some of these other communities, they have to all vote for the same thing. And yeah, I mean, we started losing the VVS meme of the week because we weren't allowed to be entered.
Which I remember. Quite comical. But they have to, they eventually have to allow other winners.
Yeah.
All right, so now for the hard one. What were your personal thoughts on Destruction selling his bag? And does this change the mission?
So I think for a long time, Destruction was the dev and the founder, but we have a core team, and we have Chico, who's really leading the lore of the meme and keeping us a little bit toxic. And we have myself, Captain Crow, and Marcus Aurelius doing business development and community management, and then we have Kinzu and Destruction doing development. So building the bridges, doing the original contracts, doing all the website work, and Destruction for a long time was our top holder. And he was committed to selling at $1 billion and taking it to zero. It was part of our lore, like part of our meme. And from what I've heard from him, he woke up one night and realized what the price was and sold enough. I believe it was around 700,000, and said, "Okay, I now am good." And when we say he sold 700,000, that's half of his bag. He's still, I believe, I'd have to look at Chronoscan right now, but I still think he's our number 2 holder. If you exclude CDC and you exclude the LPs, I think he's our number 2 individual holder. So when we say he sold half of his bag. His explanation to the team and the community at the time was that, okay, this is enough for me to live now. I don't need to worry about being in the churn of constantly having a job and constantly worrying about stuff. So he took enough off the table to really focus. And I think along the way, if you're in our Discord and you were here for our 60 days, he wants Crow with Knife to be a bigger community-led effort. I think if you look at some of the bigger projects like Doge and Shib and Pepe and Whiff, are you really daily worried about if the dev's still part of the project? And a lot of those projects, they're not, and what they're doing, right? It becomes a larger community thing. So he's taken a step back, and I don't think it changes. I know I'm going long, but
Not at all.
I'm
Keep on
pulling
going.
it back. I'm pulling it back to your question about, does it change the mission? And I don't think it changes the mission. I think after we launched the contract and we launched the bridges, there was no community treasury, there was no marketing bag, everything was either put into the LP or circulating from day one, which is really unique. A lot of these other coins, they have a lot reserves for a lot of different reasons, to pay influencers, to pay marketing. So all of that is coming off of either our whales. Our whales step up a lot, and Destruction's paid for a lot himself, or they come from the community. And I don't think it changes much, and I think it's just him saying, okay, I'm set now, let's ride, the next stages, and I'm not going to worry about my value. I think it's also interesting that people look at the developer, but he put in 3,000, so that was his initial buy, and he wasn't going to buy that much because he didn't want to be that big, but he wanted to match some amounts that other people were buying because he didn't want that much control to be in a few whales that weren't the developer. So for him to ride, and I think he said at one point 3,000 to ride it up to over $1 million in value, and to not sell anything. But what would most of us do? I think it's easy to judge the developer, but if you ride that high of a bag, and I'd have to do the math, but it was well over $1 million, and he didn't sell anything along the way. He didn't take profits along the way up.
Yep.
I think he just wanted to lock in some profits, just like we all would.
That perspective, right? Think, anyone listening to this, think about waking up like Destruction did, like that conversation did happen. Imagine waking up and seeing that night when it hit well over, I think, 100 million on the first day of its listing. Your thoughts, your perspective, your family, your life. Would you have sold any amount of that bag? And if you can say yes to any portion, right? Yes, he did half, but any portion, guys, you'd be right where he is now. All right, you can't, that perspective of financial independence, even on a micro level, right? Guys, you got to understand that. I can understand that. Joyo is really putting it into terms. We can all respect what he's done. And as long as he's participating in the community, which he still chimes in, he still does his thing, but he's living his life right now. And like Joyo said, he set this up. He wants this to be a community initiative, right? Yes, he's going to partake, but this is all about community. And as your YouTube content creator, I can say this, and speaking to the audience, I've seen the Discord even get better than it was prior. Like we're seeing recent all-time lows, and where it's just as bullish in Discord as it was at all-time highs. And that is a testament to what Joyo is stepping up to do. And he's not pretending to be a leader. He's just a voice, a community voice, and he's more than happy to push the envelope in this initiative. So yeah, that was amazing, and that was great information.
One thing I'd like to add in, and I don't want this to come off as negative. I just want the community to be clear. As you said, our content creator, you're part of the community too.
Yes, sir.
I just want people to know you're not a paid ambassador. This is because you believe in this community. That because you said something there, and I just don't want people to come off. We haven't been paying. We haven't, like some other coins, been paying for influencer attention. We haven't been paying for endorsements or videos. So I appreciate your time, which is why I'm here with you today. I just don't want people to think that this is a paid endorsement.
100%. And I appreciate you actually having the hindsight of thinking that way, because I probably would have been caught up after and kind of regretting my words. But I appreciate you doing that. If anyone knows me from the community, I was about week 1. I was like most people that after, I think I heard, it was either Oscar, Crypto Kip heard it from Oscar, I heard it from Crypto Kip, and I was in that very day. I think it was 4, 5, 6 days after launch. And within the first 24 hours, I felt the exact way anyone else has felt in this community Discord. It has been felt. The amount of energy is amazing. There's nothing like it. I can't relate it to anything else. To some words, it's actually addicting. It's like a drug. So within that first 24, 48 hours, without any notion from the team, I started my first YouTube video on this community project. And since before the listing, you can confirm I have well over 20 videos of Crow with Knife and shorts where it's just talking about, the potential, how good it feels, the meme value, the community value, social media presence. It was all there. And it's not about me. This is an interview session with Joyo, but as we start talking about the things that's happened in the past and where everything's kind of resided, we're just as bullish, and if not more bullish at this point. And that's speaking to the audience.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So as the project has had time to have money shift around and at this point consolidate after recovering from its floor, you have stepped up to become a vocal presence in ways. The community loves it, myself included. How do you take on this responsibility moving forward?
Yeah, it's a big responsibility. I think that, destruction, stepping away but not fully. So just not being in the Discord daily and letting the team run with some things for a little while. It shows you why, we all need a good team. So even when I'm stepping up, I'm able to be out there and be doing what I'm doing because I'm also working with a good team. And I take the responsibility seriously. That's why recently I've gotten some, hate or fear-mongering that I've been fudding other projects. And it was more really as being a community member, realizing how important everything we say, that I was getting frustrated at others maybe not taking that as seriously. And I'm here. It is a fun coin, and Crow with Knife is a fun community. And if you haven't joined us, when you join the Discord, it changes every 48 hours. And some label us as toxic, but at the end of the day, everybody wants Crow with Knife to succeed, and I'm just trying to keep the community happy and best represent us I can in multiple forums and answer questions, and also work with the other team members on all the business development, the marketing, community management. So I'm just trying to do the best for everybody.
On a side note, I've seen you deal with competitive, and I guess that's the most lightly way to say it, as of individuals, and the way you kind of break it down, give facts. You're very polite, very straightforward, and you're very well spoken. I can attest that from my eyes, from my ears.
I don't have a good voice, though. I don't have a good radio voice. I might be well spoken, but I
You
need
are
like
well
auto
spoken though,
tune.
so at least you have some positives as opposed to others. But I do very much appreciate, and I know audiences that will watch this, viewership that watches, they will also agree, having their vocal presence asserted by someone that can, speak cautiously, speak about the facts, not over assert themselves, because it looks bad on the project when doing so. So you are doing exactly that when you said you're just trying to be that transparent voice, and you're taking this role very seriously. So that's amazing. All right, guys. So Johyo, as we finish up with the questions that I have, before we finish up with the last segment, is there anything else you'd like to say to the community or put out there?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody in the community, how hard we raid, how unique we are, and all the different things that we're doing on a daily basis. So if you're new to Crow with Knife, go check out our Twitter, check out my Twitter, our official Twitter, and check out some of our clips. Some of them are just really great. Like we've been rating like a lot of live streamers on YouTube and Twitch and Kick and all those platforms, and we got Sasha Grey, and her laugh at Crow with Knife, and she's just there laughing. I think everybody should go out and take a watch for that. And we're not going to stop it. What's going to happen is we're going to get enough of these people that this is going to go viral, and the meme's going to take over, and everything we're doing isn't going to matter, because it will just get legs of its own, just like Destruction wants, and it will become bigger than you can possibly imagine.
It is truly electrifying, guys. I can speak on that behalf as another individual part of the community. You got to join the Discord. All the links will be down below. The official Twitters, Johyo's as well. The Discord, everything is going to be there. Please chime in. Just just have an open mind. At the end of the day, it is a degen meme, but just because of that, it is such a great feeling. You're not going to be able to relate it to anything else. Truly. All right. And now lastly, guys, I'd like to ask Johyo, I heard you had an announcement for us here at Crow with Knife. Can you speak on that behalf?
Yeah, I can. Our announcement is no announcement.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so